We talk about gentrification, what we're really talking about is like the urban form of globalization and like late stage capitalism. So like there have been people working on housing issues in various neighborhoods for years and years before gentrification was a term. There have been people working on anti-racist stuff for years and years. And so when we think of gentrification as a new thing, we're ignoring all this history of displacement that happened in communities of color for the entire history of the United States. So I think fighting gentrification means like one, acknowledging that it's not just about this new phenomenon, and two, linking up with the people who already know how to fight it, who have been fighting these battles for decades.
Yeah. And it's also that thing where I feel like there is so much of, from like conservative pundits and whatnot, or people, who will say, oh, you gotta like lift yourself up by your bootstraps, or don't expect the government to do this or that. But in your book, you detail how the government gives so much tax subsidies and basically spends millions and billions of dollars kind of funding these real estate projects, or at least making it so that somebody doesn't have to pay taxes for 10 years. How do you think that could be? I mean, do you think that's something that I guess should be more publicized? Like, I was just shocked at the stuff that you don't hear about. You don't hear about these things in the news a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing you have to understand is that for decades, the government has been subsidizing the white middle class through housing. Like, what we consider white flight, we kind of consider it this like, I don't know, natural thing that happened once cities became dangerous. What it actually was the government insuring mortgages for white people in the suburbs with very explicit demands that the people who get the mortgages be white, that the houses be suburban style, and that no one in cities get them. So what that essentially did was, one, create an entire new class of white people who lived in the suburbs and who could take their money and invest it in housing and build capital in that way. And now what we're seeing is all that capital that accumulated in the suburbs flooding back into cities. So that's where the kind of inequality comes from. Like, Black people have been systemically denied the ability to get the same kinds of housing and therefore the same kinds of capital. So it's not, it's not just a matter of like who wants to live where. It's like these huge histories of inequality in this country.